didn't know how to start this, where to start, but I know that I needed to share this because as I went through this, I remember how I felt when I started watching different videos and posts that people were posting on YouTube, and just the resources, the help out there from dog lovers and shelters and people who had to give up their pets. And I remember that it really helped me too. So as some of you already know, Rocky is gone. He's no longer with us in our home. I don't even know if he's still alive. And that's by choice. I chose not to know. Anyway, long story short, for some time now, I have been going back and forth with Rocky. Let me just start from the beginning. So I got Rocky at 12 weeks. He was like maybe 12 or 14 weeks. When we got Rocky, Rocky was already super huge. He was the last dog in the batch. And that should have been a sign for me right there, but I got him. I got Rocky at a substantial discount when I got him from the groomer. I looked at it as a blessing because he was beautiful. He was beautiful. But he was super huge. And my husband would always say that he didn't think that he was the breed that they said he was. Or, I'm not even going to say, let me scratch that part. All right. So my husband and I were always a little skeptical about why Rocky was left. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that people, sometimes the dog is just the last one to be sold. Yeah, granted. That's what I was thinking. Oh, this is the dog, the last one to be sold. And again, I don't want to blame this on, I'm not blaming this on the groomer. Not the groomer. Well, I'm not blaming this on the breeder. Don't misunderstand me. One of the reasons why I didn't want to tell this story is because I don't know how to tell a story without making sure I didn't miss a part. I don't know how to tell a story short. See, I get sidetracked. Anyway. Rocky we had Rocky for 3 years, a little over 3 years. We got him at 12 weeks. He was the last dog in the batch. When we got him, we were a little skeptical because he was a substantial discount. But again, I understood that in my mind, he was a substantial discount because it happens that way. When there are the last dog in the batch and the dog get a little bit too old, preferably too old, they prefer to get rid of the dogs within the first 8 weeks, I would say. When the dogs get to like 12 weeks, they usually bring the price down and you can adopt the dog for less. Just so they can move on with the new batches of dogs and so on and so forth. So anyway, I wasn't skeptical about it. I was just like, all right, he's just the last one in the run. I don't know. Maybe it's not that he was the bad one. He's just the last one. Rocky was super huge when we got him. He was already huge at 3 months old. He was huge. He came into the house. He was a beautiful storm. He came in the house and literally rocked our world. He changed everything in our house. Everything. He changed the way that I treated Parker. He changed the way that we moved about in our home. He changed my emotions. He changed my goals. He changed my desires. Made me put so many things on the back burners because he was just different. He made me second guess my ability when it came to training dogs and grooming dogs. All of that I put on a hanger because he rocks my world. He he made me second guess myself so much that I was like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I shouldn't be grooming. Maybe I don't know anything about dogs. Maybe I don't want to do this. It was a mess, right? But I loved him so much. Again, loved him. We loved him so much that I kept him longer than what I should have. Thanks be to God that nobody was seriously hurt. So anyway, let's get to the story. Long story short, Rocky had some anxiety issues that caused him to randomly attack. And when I mean attack, I want to first say thank you, Lord, that we weren't on the news. And it didn't get to that point where we were on the news or something happened to one of my grandkids. Because that, I wouldn't even though I should have got rid of him a long time ago, I thank God for his grace and his favor, his protection, and for keeping us and covering us, protecting us, even Parker from Rocky, because he was all messed up. You know, you got dogs suffer from anxiety and ADHD just like humans do. Rocky loved us. I know he did, but he was also very possessive and very jealous. And he came in happy at first. For the first 2 years, he was happy. He was just extra clumsy and stuff, and was like, you know, taking over. He had to take over Spirit and stuff. But it wasn't real bad until just recently. You know, like a year ago, I sent him to, I sent him to get groomed after I got surgery on my wrist, because I couldn't groom them no more. Well, at the time, until as I was recovering. So I took him to a groomer, and I felt a way about leaving him there at that groomer. Him and Parker, they both went. And I didn't go with my gut then, when I should have just went and grabbed him and walked right back out of there. I didn't do it. I was just like, all right, maybe I'm just emotional because, like, I don't like to drop my dogs off and yada, 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 so on and so forth. Rocky came home different. He came home full of anxiety. He came home scared. And it was something I was like, all right, this is a day. You know, dogs sometimes Parker used to be mad when he came home from a groomer before I learned how to groom him. But it didn't last more than a day. He would be like standoffish, stay away from me, don't bother me, yada, yada, so forth. So on and so forth. Well, Rocky was to the point where if we got too close to him on certain times, if he was sleeping or if he felt like we were touching him too much or he didn't see us coming, that he was in attack mode quick. I mean, he was growling at us like, don't touch me, don't come near me, I don't know who you are, kind of stuff, right? So I was like, what is going on? We took him to the trainer. Trainer said he's trying his dominance on us, because it first started when he started attacking Parker for no reason at all. He would attack Parker. Thank God he never broke skin. We kind of detached him quick before it got to that point, but Parker's hair would be wet and stuff wherever Rocky had his mouth, but he didn't break skin. But Parker was traumatized, like he would be shaking and stuff, and I was a little concerned because Parker is much older than Rocky, and I was worried about my baby's heart. Say what you want. Anyway, that's where it started. He would just do that. So we were just like, all right, the dogs are fighting for dominance. Rocky's going through because I never got them fixed, and it's just something that happens. Well, it was a series of things happening like every month, every few weeks, every day actually, as it progressed. And Rocky, the first time that he attacked, he jumped on DJ, my youngest son. And well, let me just explain. DJ's 20 years, he'll be 20 years old, so he's not a kid, he's not a baby, but DJ went to play with Rocky like he usually do, and Rocky jumped up and bit DJ. He did break skin. He bit him on his arm, broke skin. We were in a state of shock because we've never seen him do that, and DJ didn't do anything to Rocky for him to act that way. So we were just like, what is going on? Why is Rocky like doing some random zapping out and things like this? This is before, because he was doing it. He was showing signs of it before he actually bit him. Okay. For fast forward a little bit, we started watching. I was doing my research and stuff, and then it will be times where he'll be growling. You can't come near him. If he's sleeping, he rise up on you. I was like, all right, you're really not supposed. Some dogs you can't go to when they sleep, because they have this thing called I forget what it's called, but it's a thing where, you know how when some people, I know me, I used to wake up, when somebody wake you up out of your sleep abruptly, they wake up and they rise up and they're a little disoriented, especially when they're coming out of REM. They're a little disoriented, and it take them a minute to know where they are, who they are. It happens like that. Well, the dog, Rocky, was doing that. He was rising up on us like attack mode. Like, who are you? Where am I? You just tried to hurt me, right? So he would wake up like that beside Parker, just from Parker stretching, and be like going to town trying to attack Parker. Like, I mean, it was crazy. And he would do that to all of us. And I was just like, everybody stay away from him. We just started making adjustments, not letting them sleep in the same area, going to a trainer. The trainer was like, you could bring him here and we could do the training. The training was like freaking more than my children's school tuition. How about that? It's like, no, we can't do that. But I had learned a lot about what was going on with him to kind of maintain and do what we could do, what we wanted to do. So I put Rocky up for adoption on this website, and I got a few responses, but I wasn't comfortable with the responses that I was getting. I was very honest with how he was attackish. He was randomly attacking us no matter what. No matter how good we took care of him, no matter how much love we showed him, no matter how much discipline we showed him, he would do it randomly, and you didn't see it coming. So I had a couple of people, two of them in particular, I was like, no, right off the bat. Because one of the girls, after reading everything that I put, she said they get on the Adopt Me website, it gives you an opportunity to decide why you want to adopt them, right? Which is good, because then it gives the person who's giving the dog up or rehoming the dog, it makes them feel comfortable about who they're giving the dog to. And for me, I wanted it to be a good fit for Rocky, not only for Rocky, but for the person who was getting him. I didn't want to put Rocky in a situation where he would do harm to himself or to the other people. That would have been on my conscience. I couldn't do it. So I was very honest. And then one of the girls who came on to say she wanted to do it, she wanted to get Rocky. She's like, I love how he looks. He's beautiful. I always wanted a dog like that. I believe that I would give him a good home. Like, I said, he's gonna eat her alive. The next set of people, the other two, I'm going to tell you about two, because these are the ones that stood out. The other one was a couple. They were a retired couple in their 70s. And they wanted Rocky. Honestly, I didn't get past that. I said no. No. Then there was another gentleman that actually lived in my area, but he didn't really give any information. So I was like, no, because I heard that on the web, like in these, I follow a lot of people who are dog lovers and dog camps. They said that a lot of people get your dogs to do experiments on and blah 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 blah. Beware of who you rehome your dog to. So I was like really taking that into consideration. Meanwhile, I'm stressed out so badly, like to the point where it was taking all of my peace, because I was like, I love him, I'm so attached to him, but I'm losing sleep, like literally losing sleep. I was sick to my core about this dog, and I didn't realize how bad it was affecting me. I mean, to the point where I had a couple of friends that ministered to me that I knew the Lord used to get through to me on some things about how Rocky had become a stronghold in my life. Yes, my dog became a stronghold in my life. Not only did he take all of my time and consume all of my emotion and thought process and my day-to-day living and my sleep, but he took away my desires to do what God gave me a gift to do concerning the dogs, right? All that was going downhill because I was done dealing with him. Like, I mean, done meaning I was undone through the stress that occurred caring for Rocky. Papa, I think they closed. They closed. Are they open? Let's see. Hours. Oh, they open. So anyway, where was I? I got brain fog. It's ridiculous. Oh yeah. So then, one day I was in the kitchen with Rocky, and my son was upstairs. No, first of all, I had to have meetings with my family, with my husband and my children. And, you know, we talked about it. And at first, my kids didn't believe me that because I wasn't telling them everything. They didn't believe that Rocky was acting this way. Because me and Danny was dealing with it. We were dealing with it, and we weren't like giving them all the details. We were just like, you know, just be careful when you go around Rocky. Don't do this, don't do that. Leave him alone, see him sleeping. We just pretty much was like guarding everything that he did and everybody who came around him, and being very careful and cautious. And it kind of took away my joy of entertaining. If anybody knows me, you know how I am about fellowship, gatherings, opening my home to people. Like, I love that, right? But I also want people to come in and be comfortable and not be having to worry. Like with Parker, we never had to do that. Like, Parker just came in and dwelt with us, right? He would chill with us. Like, even my friends come and we have worship segments and stuff at the house, or rehearsals and things like that. Like, Parker really came and lay down in the middle of us worshiping God, and it was always very comfortable. Well, Rocky took away all of that, right? So, all right, where was I? So Rocky messed that up. So then my kids were like, Mommy, I never saw him do that. He never did that around me. Yada, yada, yada. You know, even though Rocky bit DJ, you know, he wasn't sure about it either. He was just like, he loved him. We loved him, and it was understandable. Rocky and I were in the kitchen, and he jumped up on me like he usually do. And we in the kitchen just doing, so I don't know what I was doing. And when he jumped over on me, I looked at him. And the moment I looked at him, this was the second time, I'll tell you about the first time, he went off on me. He was in attack mode, barking me down, like trying to bite me. And I jumped up on the countertop, and my reflexes, I picked up a pot, a cast iron pot at that. I was, no, it wasn't a cast iron pot. It was like a little cast iron pot that I had on the counter. I just so happened to have it on the counter. And I was going to knock him out, but I was screaming so loud that my youngest son came downstairs, and he saw it, and he went off on Rocky, told Rocky to get out. Rocky went out. He kind of snapped out of it and then went out. And I was just like, I'm trying to tell y'all that he's doing this, and he has to, you know, I was just like distraught. So after that, you know, I gotta put these pieces together because I just want to make sure I put these in the right order. But the first time he did it, he was asleep behind my chair at my desk, and he woke up. No, he said something, and I was like, Rocky. And when I looked back and Rocky was behind me, he opened it, and I was like, oh, there you go. And when I said, oh, there you go, I just looked at him, and he looked at me, and he rose up on me, and it was like he didn't know who I was. It was like you'd have thought I had a knife at him. He went off on me. Scared me to my core. I was ready to, like, I was going to take anything to throw on him. still didn't get rid of him, right? Meanwhile, I got him up for adoption while this is happening. And I decided to like just try to like work this out, right? I sound silly saying this right now, but anyway, you know, my husband and I decided after we went to a trainer, my husband and I decided that we'll give it a try. We'll try to train him and make things better, make some adjustments, make some adjustments around the house to make it a little bit more, just to train him better. We realized, and my husband brought to my attention, that I did not do the same things with Rocky that I did with Parker. Rocky was very quick to learn a lot of things. I potty trained him, just like I potty trained Parker. I got him housebound real quick, just like I did Parker. But when it came to the extra discipline and the specific discipline that I did with them around the house, with Parker, I did not do the same for Rocky. I kind of let Rocky just flow, right? So I was starting to feel guilty. Like, I was feeling guilty, like it's my fault that he's not doing things right because I didn't do right by him. So this is what I was dealing with at the same time too. Just guilt. Like, how can I give him up and it's my fault? Like, let me fix this. So my husband and I came to an agreement to just try to make some adjustments that the trainer told us, gave us some tips on, and it worked out really good for some time. Like, Rocky was not a dog that could be out because we couldn't trust him and he didn't trust us. He had to sleep in the crate. So at night, you know, when we went upstairs to go to bed, where Parker would usually get on the bed and go to sleep, Rocky knew to get in the crate. And then dogs like discipline, so he wasn't mad about getting in the crate. I think it made him feel safe too. Oh, before we started putting him in the crate, one day Danny came home or something, and we were upstairs in the bed, and he came into the room, and when he came into the room, he said something to Rocky, like, hey, like he usually do, and Rocky rose up on him, jumped off the bed, and bit Danny. Danny is so strong. He never budged or showed any fear concerning Rocky. He didn't pipe down when it came to Rocky. He just like stood there strongly, firmly, like dog, like I'm in control, right? But this particular day, he had bit down on Danny's hand so hard that although he didn't break the skin, Danny, it was like he might have broken a bone. Danny was like, enough, that's enough, no more sleeping on the bed. We put the gate up, blah 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 blah. He was sleeping in the gate from that on, right? Then he went weeks with no more episodes or anything. We was like, he's doing good. We got a system now, you know. We got a system now, and he's thriving. Things are looking up. I took him off the website. We were happy, but I was still a little uncomfortable because I didn't trust him. I still had some of my peace taken from me because I was very uncomfortable. Although I was happy that things were getting better, I was still losing sleep at night because I just wasn't comfortable. When I wake up and I still think about, you know, I was imagining him hurting somebody. Like, it was just like a torment of the mind, right? Just warfare because of this dog. The last straw was this. So my son just recently had surgery. And he just recently had surgery from a torn Achilles, and he's been on a boot and unable to, like, you know, walk on his own and things like that. And and we all were in our family room. My family was there. I think most of my, you know, a couple of my kids were there. My family was in the house, and I sat on the chair and was playing with Parker, and Rocky was just, you know, playing with us like he usually does too. And DJ was already standoffish with Rocky because Rocky had did some weird stuff to him a couple of times that I didn't even mention because there's just so many different things that he was doing. I know y'all probably saying y'all crazy, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, DJ went to sit down And DJ said out of his mouth, I'm going to go ahead and embrace him since he's been doing good. And let me say this. Every time I said out of my mouth, I'm going to go ahead and embrace him because he's doing good, he did something crazy to say, nope, he got to go. I feel like the Lord was just like allowing these things to happen for me to say, hello, Keisha, you got to get past this. He got to go. I was heartbroken. So anyway, DJ went to sit down and he said out his mouth, I'm gonna go ahead and embrace him. And he didn't look at him. When he sat down, Rocky went off on DJ. He went off on DJ. DJ went down to the floor, and Rocky was on him. And Danny, I didn't even know Danny was upstairs really, but Danny grabbed Rocky off of DJ so fast before he broke skin. Oh, thank God for my husband. He dragged him off of DJ so fast that it was like right on time. DJ had fell, hit his incision, and it was just dramatic. It was drastic. And I was distraught. I was distraught because I was just like, what if my son was there by himself and couldn't defend himself? Like he couldn't even walk on his own at the time, and he could with crutches and stuff, but he just had surgery. Thank God that DJ was fine. So I was going back and forth. Well, I didn't go back and forth after that. He had to go. So I called that night. I called the animal shelter. And when I was emailing, telling them what was going on, they were emailing me back and saying that they were closed, but they were like, if I turn him in, I'll be turning him in to be euthanized. And I was just like, just that. And I was thinking, like, maybe he can just thrive in another home. Maybe he needs to be with a man. He's a man's dog, like a man that goes hunting or something like that. There's a family, a home for him to thrive in. Our home wasn't a good fit for him. I was not about to turn him over to be put down just without trying anything else. And I was like, Lord, is this it? But honestly, it wasn't to be of my concern. It wasn't. I had to let go. I had to detach. This was bigger than just Rocky. It was bigger than my emotions and my feelings about like finding a good fit for him. It was about me being obedient to the fact that me being obedient to God to get him out of our home by any means necessary. With no nothing attached to it. I ain't hurt, yes, but at the end of the day, what God said was what God said, and what God was pushing me to do, that should have been my first response. Obedience to God, regardless of how hurt I was, how uncomfortable it was. I had to get rid of him. So Rocky stayed at the house that night because it was technically nobody to come get him. Even though I was emailing with them, it was nobody to come get him. And at that, when I was going to sign, if I would have signed up for him to be euthanized just right off the bat, I had to pay a fee for that. And I was just like, I'm not paying for him to be killed. Like, I know that people do that in the dog world, but that was going to be on my conscience too. I just couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. It was too much. So I called animal control the next day. Well, I called animal control that night, and then someone called me back the next morning because they heard my message. And my God, when I left that message, I was crying so bad. I was like, I don't even know if they understand what I'm saying. Well, they called me the next day. They were very, 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 the sheriff's office called me first, and then animal control called me, and they communicated with each other. And they were very, very kind. and compassionate and caring and comforting when we talked. They didn't try to make me feel like, oh girl, it's a dog. You know what I'm saying? They just didn't do that to me. And they were just very caring. Even the officer that came to pick them up, she was very caring. She came and pulled up with her dog in the car, and she was great. I was crying so bad that she was filling out the paperwork, and I had to bring him outside to the truck. And she was just like, she explained to me, she said, what they do, she said, where he's going is like doggy jail. She was like, but they don't. She was like, but they feed them snacks, and they go and, you know, take them for walks and things like that. She said that he would be isolated from all the other dogs for the first, I think they said 30 days or something. I could be wrong, I don't know, but just, you know, they didn't put him directly in the same environment with the other dogs first, because they had to like evaluate him and make sure, you know, he's not a threat to them too. But she said what they usually do first is get him fixed. So when they fix him, they do the evaluation with him and see how he acts, and then they kind of go through a trial with seeing if he can be in a regular environment with other dogs. And then if they find that he is in good condition where he can be adopted, then they will put him up for adoption. And if he could not, then they would put him down. So when she told me, she said, you know, I guess they're used to people wanting to know the process step by step. And she was like, and she said, honestly, if you call, she said, when you sign him over to them, when you surrender him, he belongs to them now. It's their property. You have no say so. I was like, that's fine. She was like, if you want to call in and see where he goes or what happens to him, she said they may give you a little bit of information, but they're not obligated. I said, don't worry about it. I don't want to know. And then after I signed the papers over, signed his life over to them, she told me to bring him to the truck to put him in. Y'all. Oh my gosh. I don't even have asthma, but I felt like I was having an asthma attack. I couldn't breathe. I was like, Lord Jesus, this is hard. I pulled Rocky out of the house. He was on a leash. He just knew, he was jumping up and down. He was jumping on my back. He was doing like he does when he just, I don't know, when he's uncomfortable. He was jumping on my back and just like holding, like he was doing so much. And I just kept on saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And she opened that back and I put him in there. Oh, I thought I could talk about this. I am doing good. And I shut the door and I said goodbye. So I pray that all things worked out for him, and that when he got fixed, that he was better. And that if he wasn't better, that they put him out of his misery. Because when a dog has mental issues and anxiety issues, it don't feel good to them either. But I just wanted to share this because I know that this process was so hard. And it was the right thing to do. And I was ashamed that I kept him. I was ashamed both ways. I was ashamed. This is how you know it was an attack of the enemy, because I was ashamed for keeping him, and I was ashamed for giving him up. So I just want somebody to know that if you are up against deciding whether or not to keep a dog that has anxiety issues, and you got children or grandchildren, not, even if you don't, and you know you need to get rid of that dog, I hate to say get rid of, but you know what I'm saying, surrender him. There is help out there to help these dogs, and nobody wants to see dogs in shelters and stuff like that.
They don't. But first of all, be obedient. If the Lord's telling you to get rid of anything in your life that you are attached to, that you are mentally, emotionally, physically attached to, you got to be obedient. There is peace that comes when you're obedient to God. Don't get me wrong, the tears are flowing and things like that, but even though it was one of the hardest things I had to do, it was one of the best decisions that I made. And I'm grateful. And as for Parker, everybody asking me, like my friends and stuff that be following up, be asking me like, how is Parker doing? Is he depressed? He said, I'm telling y'all, Parker is the happiest he's ever been. He didn't budge. He ain't cry for him. He was smiling. He was smiling when he left. I'm not exaggerating. I'll send y'all some pictures. He was smiling. He got to play with toys again. He got to have his own food, his own snack. He got to have us to himself, and he wasn't scared anymore in the house. He wasn't angry anymore because Parker was going off on him too. But he was happy. He got to ride. We couldn't go for rides like we used to. It's my road dog. But Rocky was scared of driving, so we didn't get to go driving all the time. Look at that smile. You happy, Papa? Look at that smile. He wants to get hit out the window. He didn't get to do none of that. He couldn't play with toys because Rocky, if you gave him a toy, Rocky would attack him. Rocky would attack him if we gave him toys. I just bought him a bunch of toys and started doing what we used to do together, and he's happy. He's happy. So, you know, when you bring another dog into your environment, and don't get me wrong, that don't mean I won't ever get another dog, because I will. My husband and I talked about this. Like, this stuff that I'm going to always have a dog or dogs in my home. You just got to understand the dogs. You got to know what you're dealing with. You got to, you got to take your time. All right, that's it. I'll follow up with some more later, but I wanted to tell y'all what was going on. Rocky's gone.